Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is Tuesday, August 17th. In this episode, are you ready, Mike? We have merch! And week one is in the books. New Boys Brentford smash. Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool cruise. But first, Mike, we had a Dushiko, and it was pretty good for you. But not,
it was a lot of fun. I'm glad you had a good time.
I did not have a good time.
I find it funny that, Manchester City has a heck of a time in North London. In fact, there's been 4 games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium between Tottenham and Manchester City, and Manchester City have not found the back of the net at all. This is something we really failed.
Friend.
Oh, please.
69 shots without a goal.
Yep.
To your 15.
So 2 of these games were Mourinho masterclass. I believe they were both 2-0, where we would get 2 shots, 2 goals, and smash and grabs.
Well, not they were controlled.
This was not that.
When was the Sissoko Højbjerg one where they were in the channels the whole time?
Fine. This was not that. This was a bar fight. This was for 90 minutes. Awesome. And granted, there were stretches where each team was better, but it was an incredible game to watch for a number of reasons. But mainly because amidst all of the Kane speculation, all of
the second the game started, it didn't matter.
Right. The pomp and circumstance, City being the champions. The 11 men on the field for Tottenham were angry, and they had a point to prove. It was awesome. Yeah. I haven't seen that amount of spirit.
It was very. Wow! Look who showed up. It's Pochettino Spurs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I haven't seen that
2015-16 Spurs show up.
Yeah.
Delhi leading the charge. Now, there's no Eriksen. There's none of that. It was much more a physical, strong, hard-running group effort. It was very Wolves. It was very Nuno. It was he's a good coach, and maybe we're gonna find out that year 4 was a hard time, but his first year at Wolves, they won the league by a lot. And it was all Portuguese, but Spurs were good. I will give credit to City. The first 15 minutes or 12 minutes, it was looking rough. You guys were on the ropes, in trouble.
Of course.
Grealish and Sterling were really good. But your boy and here, Mark, first hero of the day, Tanganga, was just like,
Japhet Tanganga.
He played a fucking full on. He was just totally fucking Stalingrad out there. And
so let me wax poetic.
Manchester City were knocking on the door, and he just held the line with anything he could. He fought, he fouled, he did anything, and they let him.
Let me talk about the fucking guy from my team, will you? Japhet Tanganga, it's interesting. He actually had a loan opportunity in Galatasaray in Turkey. And the team desperately wanted to send him out to loan, and Nuno was one of them. He didn't really get a good enough look at him yet and said, hey, look, you're going to get regular time. If you go to this club, you should do that. It'll be good for your career. And he patently was like, fuck that. I'm going to stay and fight for my place, and I'm going to see what happens. And at the end of the transfer window, if I haven't, proven my worth to you in the club, and if nobody in England comes calling, then yeah, sure, I'll go to Turkey for a semester abroad, right? But he was immense, and he embodied everything about Spurs spirit and unwillingness to respect what City was trying to do. 6 minutes into the game, Grealish dives right outside of the box. A chance goes begging, fine. But after that, it was literally like, oh, you want to go to ground, little boy? We're going to give you a reason to fall down. We're going to kick you. We're going to stomp on you. We're going to push you. We're going to throw you around because you're in our house, and this is not how you behave in my house. And it was 84 minutes from that point on of Tanganga and Skip and Højbjerg and Delhi And honestly, Sanchez and Dyer, they were great as well. Just pushing Manchester City around. And it wasn't that they were more talented than them. It was that City doesn't like to get punched in the face, right? I mean, we saw it in the Champions League final when they literally punched or elbowed, or I guess it was a shoulder, Kevin De Bruyne in the face, Antonio Rudiger, and KO'd him and broke his orbital bone.
Yeah.
Everybody on City got shell-shocked immediately.
Yeah.
And that was something, you sort of saw at Spurs. Now, the other super important element, and we'll talk about a few other games that had this element, affect the outcome for sure, was 62,000 screaming fans.
Really good performance by the Spurs supporters for sure.
It was unbelievable, right? And again,
by the way,
it was
illustrative of the sort of early dominance. So I'm looking at here. City in the first 10 minutes had 4 chances. One blocked off Gundogan, Fernandinho,
that was the free kick.
And Fernandinho and João Cancelo both missed. Then nothing till 34. Whereas in between there, Bergwijn, Sanchez, and Moura all have chances that are blocked or miss early on. And then you have they sort of look like clusters of those were scary. Bergwijn, Sanchez, Moura. Then Son has another chance where he kind of stutter steps on minute 28. Then again before the half ends at 40 and 42 with Son again. So, and it was all from Moura on those two. So Moura and Son were really clicking. And instead of the Harry Kane dropping deep thing, basically Moura was like, fuck this passing thing. I'm just going to run past people.
Yeah.
And then pass it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, a lot of the play was built out of those wings. But a lot of strength in the midfield. There was a lot of balls that were being won, especially Dele and especially Højbjerg. We were getting a lot of joy down the right wing because for whatever reason, Pep decided to start Benjamin Mendy at left back.
He's awful.
He's fucking hilarious to watch.
He's so bad. And
it was so weird. I mean, we talked ad nauseum in the season 1 of the Squeaky Bum Time podcast about soccer being a weak link sport, right?
Yep. This
was quite literally the embodiment of that. And so it was still striking to see such an impressive Man City team. The club on the field costs $900 million, and to have somebody that's that far off the pace, and everyone just go get that guy. He sucks. What is he even doing here? And it's not obviously it's the beginning of the season. There were fitness issues with a number of players, but Zinchenko came on as a sub, which means he was more than available. And so this comes down to another Pep mismanagement for me.
They got so much more solid once he came on. I think
absolutely.
For some reason with Mendy, there's a squad thing. Everyone likes him. He's a good guy. He is ingratiating to the team. I think Pep feels like he has to play him because he probably brought him in. But whenever he plays, City are bad. And a lot of it is because his defensive capabilities and speed, which he used to have, are just gone. And people run past him. He tries to come up on people and they disappear. Cancelo, I know you had him. He was player of the season. He was in the Premier League best 11. But I'd say the last month and a half of the season, he was bad and missed the Champions League final. And I think the thing that I noticed and what we've talked about a million times was City's break eraser, a.k.a. Kyle Walker, was not there. And you can tell. When City don't have that athleticism, the thing that pops out to me more than anything, and the game is the game, and City had chances, whatever. Games are games, but I think I try and think about thematically what I saw was just the physicality and strength of Spurs was evident. When you go and you've got Moura, who's really might be small but is fit and can run. You've got Bergwijn, who's built like a brick shithouse. Yeah, does he have problems finishing? Yeah, he should have scored a goal. On a fuck up that he
at least
reminded me of that game last season. I don't remember who it was against where he missed, and then I was scoring.
Oh no, I remember. It was the post in Anfield.
Ah, that's the one. You should have won that game.
Oh, we should have.
And then the midfield of Skip, Ali, and Højbjerg was just like, fuck you. We are going to kick your ass. And they weren't really making forward passes. I don't think Skip had many touches or passes at all. But when everyone got close to Spurs, got close to City in the middle, they fucking got hit. And that made a difference. And I saw Ali did a lot of that. And I thought Fernandinho was like being a warrior, but getting his ass kicked. Like there needed to be more in there. And, Gundogan is a nice player. He's tidy. He's quick at the ball, but he can't match the physicality of big, strong dudes. Like City was getting roughhoused.
Well, and they were hunting in packs, right? And so that's kind of what
nice.
Nuno has sort of preached, during the preseason, and
wolves.
It was
packs like wolves.
Literally, yeah, right, exactly.
So play wolves
and so I mean, we talked about it on the preview show. I made a joke, Nuno knows, right? And so that's, without further ado, that's our first piece of merch on the Squeaky Bum Time podcast with the Chop Sports guys. We made a Nuno knows logo with the
Are you ready? Are
picture.
You gonna count down? Do I have to count down?
With the picture of him fist bumping. Go ahead, show our friends what
3, 2, 1. Here's our unveiled.
Ooh. So if you're listening to the pod, you can get this Nuno knows shirt. You'll see it at chopsportsmedia.com. It'll be under the Squeaky Bum Time section. You'll also be able to see it on our social media and stuff like that. But
we'll put it on the site for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's going to be basically put on shirts and in the store, available for purchase as early as you're listening to this, from what I am told.
And one of the things we're also doing on, if you don't notice, is we do stream these after the fact live. We'll chat and you can watch the show. So there's lots of ways to catch us, and maybe even on Twitch or Instagram or anything. Then you can see the shirt live. So if you listen to it and then you're like, hey, I want to check it out, you can find it live usually 24 hours after the pod goes up.
So yeah, I made that joke beforehand and it came to be true. So that's going to be a thing. We're going to do hashtag Nuno knows from here on out. Anytime someone, anytime Spurs win a big game, essentially this season.
I have to do something for Pep ponders, and then he paints a fucking weird lineup.
Well, we'll just wait until you come. We'll just wait until Leicester beat you 5-2, and we'll make a hashtag Pep out shirt.
Oh, gosh. Speaking of,
go
ahead.
One thing I want to talk about with this game, though, is the way that Anthony Taylor managed it, because
it was good.
It was really good. It was unlike a lot of the games we've seen in the last few years. It was chippy, but it had the opportunity to get real shitty, and it didn't. But I think that came down to the way that the referee was managing it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He pulled Lloris over at one point. Grealish was really getting frustrated, and I was loving every second of it.
He got the shit kicked out of him.
He got the shit kicked out of him.
He does play for that. So
understand that, like I mentioned earlier in the show, he dove very early in the game. It was egregious. He got away with it, and the crowd really started to get on him every time he got the ball. So it was a combination of 60,000 people screaming at him, which, by the way, aside from Wembley in the Euros, he has not had. He hasn't had. In fact, he's never gotten booed, probably ever. Nope. So it was his first experience of being, frankly, the bad guy.
Let's backtrack. In the championship against Birmingham City, which is Aston Villa's rival, a fan came out and punched him in the face.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Actually, it was worse. It was a sucker punch. You punched him in the back of the head.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Wow.
He's gone through some, and he was cool with it. He was like, "My man."
He was. Whatever. He laughed. He's like, "Whatever, dude." I remember that now. But no, it was the constant over 90 minutes, just berating, frankly, and the getting the knocks, right, the getting the beaten up. But the way that Taylor managed it, there were a few yellow cards given actually near the end of the game. I want to say like 85th, 90th minute to Grealish and to, I believe, Lucas Moura. And
they had a little bit of a Sanchez. It was.
And there was
Moura got one early. The one you're talking about late is Sanchez and Grealish.
Sanchez. Okay, I couldn't see who he gave it to from Spurs because they were off screen. But the funniest part about all that is that there's a picture from that exchange of Grealish wagging a finger at Lucas Moura telling
Right.
him, "You dove, you can't do that." And everybody's like, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude? You do that for a living." Like, so
Yeah.
it was fun. But yeah, so real quick, in the 2017 season,
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola called Tottenham Hotspur the Harry Kane team. Since he's done that, Tottenham Hotspur has beaten Manchester City 4 times at home. They have not conceded a goal. Harry Kane has not played any of those games. I think that's really fucking awesome.
That's a great anecdote. Yeah, I don't know.
Fuck you, Pep Guardiola.
No, I think what happened is probably in that moment he probably just forgot and just kind of like spaced out and just called him the Harry Kane team. Like, you know what I mean? His English isn't great, so that kind of thing happens.
Oh,
but
I understand.
On the City side, it's just like City are a very high-end machine that it doesn't work when it's not right. Like it's a fine-tuned engine. Like it's very German engineering. Like it has a computer that makes it run and it's fuel injected and it has like guys and it needs a fucking Ferrari driver and it needs all these things to be right for it to work. But once one thing is off, it kind of sputters a little bit. Like I know Bernardo Silva was a want away. It seemed weird he wasn't playing or didn't come on. I know that Mendy's sort of like out of the way, but you know, anyone but Mendy. I know Ferran Torres is young and whatever, but play a fucking striker. I mean, he did miss a couple of really good chances. There was that one near the near post where he just couldn't get there. And City did create chances and easily could have been up early, right? I think Mahrez played well early. There was a couple of good chances. They were just out of sync, right? Just these little things.
Yep.
Diaz being on the right instead of the left, you know, makes things a little bit weird for him because he and Stones were the other way around. And Ake being left-footed, he's on the left side. So I think part of that shot that Son took that went in, he was betwixt and betweens, as the English say, and he kind of could have blocked it, but it went the wrong way. So there was a lot of weirdness that allowed Spurs to win, but I don't begrudge Spurs. They played with physicality and force, and that really makes me want to segue to the Brentford game, which was a physicality and force game. Friday afternoon, we were all working, and we just went nuts. Like, it was fucking incredible. Like, I tweeted for an hour. I didn't do any work. It was just good. Like, Brentford, 75 years out of the league. I know where the stadium is. I know that neighborhood. I know everything about that area. And it felt good to see this team just turned up to 12 and Arsenal show up arsenally with the youngest team of match week 1 for all the teams, right? It was like Arteta's like, hey, what's the best way to lose this game? Let me play the youngest players I have in the most hostile environment anyone has seen in 70 years. Let's do that. That's a good idea. And the weird thing was Arsenal were actually better than it seemed. And they really lost on 2 moments more than anything, like a bad clearance in defense and then a throw in that could have been a foul another day. But Ben White really should have just stuck his foot out. I'm just like, can this ball not bounce, please?
The expected goals flatter Arsenal, but
they do.
I watched that game and I don't.
It did not feel that way at all.
No, at all.
But there were at least 2 really good saves by Raya. Really good.
Yes. No. Without question.
Right. But it didn't feel it, right? The flow of the game didn't feel that way.
Like you said, Arteta set them up to fail. And surprised that's what happened. But a word on him, because I defended Arteta for a long time, and I thought, you know, and coming from City, I'm sure you were a fan of his as well, and you thought he'd do well at Arsenal. And I
have them in 6th, right? I have a stake in them being good, and it's really a stake in Arteta. It's like, I think he's got this,
right?
But maybe he does. Sometimes, you know, the pundits, we sort of hate sort of listening to them and bother them and go, oh, what the fuck are they talking about? But they do know stuff, right? They're like, this team's not good enough. They're just not good.
Oh, no. It didn't take a pundit to know that. I mean.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, you just like, oh, it's Xhaka. Like, what the fuck's he going to do? It's like, they're relying on Emil Smith-Rowe. He's 20. Like, what is he going to do? Like, what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to.
And I did think he was good for what it's worth.
He was really good. Like, he had that one turn and shot which was good. And then there was one other one. I think Tierney. It's always the same three players that make Arsenal go. It's Rowe, Tierney, and Saka. And if they're not playing and they're not awesome, they're not good. Although, to your point, your boy Martinelli played and he was bad.
Yeah.
But
I mean, everybody in the attacking band until Saka came on. Smith Rowe was good, but he didn't have anybody really to facilitate you.
Yeah, I thought Balogun was 19 years old and just didn't make the right runs. He seemed to be very static.
That's just unfair to him, man. It really is.
Fair, right. And those dudes are men. Like those central defenders that Brentford had were big, strong, and not here to fuck around. Like they made that goal on the throw-in because one of the fucking guys put his ass on the keeper, and Bernd Leno could not move him. Right? And what was supposed to happen is, and almost all the pundits were like, you gotta be, as a defender, you either the goalkeeper literally fucking rakes his foot down the calf of that guy and be like, get the fuck out of the way.
Right.
Or, your defender has to go and push him, right? There's a lot of physicality that goes on in football that people don't really realize until, why did that ball go in? Because someone stood on the goalkeeper and he didn't move the dude out of the way. Right? So I thought it was just
scored from a throw-in, though. But they scored from a throw-in,
Yeah. But the goalkeeper was pinned. He couldn't move.
No, I know. And
they fucked up.
The interesting thing, so we talked a lot about Ivan Toney leading into the game.
Awesome.
He was in the shadows, amazing. He had 0 shots, not just shots on target, 0 shots. Yeah. But the things you could, first of all, the athleticism drips off of this guy.
Dude,
but
he's an
way that he's a fucking animal.
Well,
he led
the team in pressing, so he got on people.
Yes, he was everywhere. And the thing is that you could tell. It's almost like watching one of the all-time greats get, like watching like Kobe get mad at like his other guard for not thinking the way he did, because Tony would take a pass and he would like pass it and just make a run, or vice versa, and he would get like stop me, like what are you doing? Why are you not me? Just go be me, right? Yeah. There was a couple times where I caught him doing that, and it was just awesome to see them. To see a championship player coming up into the Premier League and looking like he's already 3.5 steps ahead of every move he's making. And it was just so interesting to see somebody moving that far ahead at that speed. It was unbelievable. So he's
like the size. He moves like Pogba, right? That kind of like galloping gait, but has like, and is somewhere 2 notches below the muscular of Mikel Antonio, right? So it's like a lanky kind of Pogba, but jacked like Mikel Antonio. You're like, who the fuck is that dude? He stands out.
He's a big brick shithouse.
Now,
so he's going to be even more fun.
And to your point, right? His partners, right? So Caños and Mbueno in the front three were both were the ones who sort of like scored the goal and created the chances. But it's Tony who's sort of facilitating and making all that happen. As a group, they worked as a unit between, all those guys, between Canos and Mbueno. Mbueno was also really good. Like their whole front three, they just, when they went forward, they created chances. And to be fair, like Arsenal were not bad in this game. So the narrative is a little bit intense, a little bit unfair, I'd say, sorry. But I think as a new team in the league, playing with fearlessness, playing with intensity, playing to their style, like you knew what they wanted to do and you kind of had a sense of it within, 5 or 10 minutes. Like sometimes they went long, sometimes they played short, a lot of mixing up of their play. They didn't have a tremendous amount of shots, but they were so good. Like they just made fans immediately on a Friday night, like, okay, this has to happen now. Like, Brentford are amazing. Yeah. And the fans had just killer fucking chants, and it was loud, and
they were great.
The whole stadium.
And it was like we talked
about, was incredible.
Oh man!
Or did you hear the other one? We're just a bus stop at Hounslow. Oh, even better.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll always listen. when you're beating Arsenal in the way that you do, and we called it on the show, you're gonna have my heart. But when you throw in, "Hey Arsenal, you're just a shit Tottenham Hotspur," I mean, well,
or
where do I
just
get
your
my
support shit.
jersey? Yeah,
Where your support is fucking shit. I mean,
yeah,
just killer
yeah.
shit housing, and I'm sure any away supporter is probably there going, okay, yeah, all right, you got me, right?
You
Like no
got me.
Arsenal fan is like, oh yeah, that sucked. They're like, okay, yeah, no
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
we
Tip
were
of the
bad.
cap to you.
Yeah. And there, listen,
And
this is not a joke, right? So this team, and I just watched something and I shared it with you earlier, is one, they led the league in scoring in the championship. They led the league in XG in scoring in the championship. And while they didn't lead in defense, they were the number one XG in defense. So this is a
mhm.
really good team. Like,
Yeah.
this is not a joke. They're not going down. They're going to take some scalps and they're going to take their lumps. I think they're going to, if they play at home, if the home crowd matters, they're going to get their games at home. Like, I see them easily clearing the 40-point barrier, the same as Leeds, right?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I forget exactly where I had them, but I had them close to mid-table, so I have no reservations about where they'll end up. But I think the lasting image for this game to me was, again, it had been
You
70
had them in
years.
11th.
There you go. Yeah, see, so just about mid-table.
Yeah.
70 years since their last Premier League game, which incidentally was also against Arsenal, which is
Right.
weird.
Bookending.
Um,
The
um,
fucking script writers, man. Premier League
but
is just
yeah,
on it.
you see, the Hey Jude version of like Brentford,
So good.
people crying, singing. Thomas Frank, who, by the way, I'm in love with this man.
He's
He's
a little
awesome.
too like bohemian. He's got the hair. He's a
No,
little
I'm
weird
in.
looking.
I'm all
He
in
looks
on
like
it.
a
But
woman who's transitioned, to be fair.
well, you know what? He looks, unlike a lot of them, he actually looks like he's done it quite elegantly. But doing a lap, clapping the fans, but going
So
over
good.
to like the little girl and taking pictures and just being so excited, and then the
Yeah.
little boy,
Yeah.
with like the special needs boy. Oh my god! It just it'll
Yeah.
it'll get you choked up, right? And
Yeah. It
and
was
the
amazing.
one thing that I talked about in our Facebook group that I just want to point out, because um, we talk about how media does a lot of things poorly,
Yeah.
but one of the best things they do in those situations, and it comes down, frankly, mostly to Lady Rebecca Lowe from
Oh, legend.
NBC's coverage.
She leads that. I think she gets the kind of like, wait, and
Yeah,
it is a female quality. She's just like, no, no, no. There's more to this than just the
just let it.
football.
Yeah. So
Let it
she
be. Let it breathe. Yeah.
the so yeah, it's Arlo White kicks it back to the studio. Rebecca, go ahead, and she just goes no, and just lets the scenes and the sounds just overtake you, right?
Yeah. So
And
good.
and they did it with Spurs too,
Yeah.
but I've seen them do that a number of times. Whereas in the American sports realm, you've got and Joe Buck talking about how important this is to the New York Giants. It's like, dude, fucking kill yourself. Stop and just let us soak it in. If there was a subscription service that allowed American sports fans to forego the commentary, holy shit, that's $1 billion
I think
idea
they
right there.
tried it and people didn't watch it, but that's okay. I think
Because
this
they
it's
didn't make it
shocking they didn't make it all the time.
right.
Yeah.
But there are moments where nothing says so much more than anything you're thinking.
Yeah.
And I just wish that, look, nobody's saying that American sports fans or supporter groups or whatever are like for like with what England has and what
No.
Europe has, right? Of course not. But I do think that they're much, much better than us at highlighting all of the best parts of that. Whereas if something special happens, which happens all the time in American sports, if you just let the scene sort of breathe, right? Give the call for whatever it is, the walk-off home run, the overtime goal, the buzzer beater, and then just let it happen, right?
Yeah.
The
It was, I
sign,
mean, listen,
the
NBC is I don't know how you felt about their hockey coverage, but their
horrible,
Sunday
by the
NFL,
way.
they whatever, they did bad on the Olympics, but they somehow are doing really well with the Premier League. People are less into them of the last few years. I think some of the analysis has gone out the window and they've relied and gone to it's Man United, it's Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. They used to cover other teams a little bit more, and that's kind of sucky. But that moment was good. They really captured Brentford really well. And fans make a difference, man. It is like night and day. And I mean, I know we're probably going to want to touch on other games, but you know, I just watched fucking Brighton Burnley. I mean, because that's my secret side piece team, and they came back from a goal down, and it went nuts, and the Burnley crowd died, and it was just like, oh god, it's so fucking good. This is alive. I feel alive. Right? Did I text you like when the goal went in for Canos against Brentford? I was like, I am alive. I have come back to life. I feel amazing. Like only football does this. I swear to Christ, there's no way that American sports have these moments, and I still think fundamentally it is because of so much that is riding on the games. They've somehow created a narrative, the down and the up, the you support your local team more than anything, the nature of locality being so important. I don't know how they do it, but it is captured. There's no, like, a Pirate fan doesn't care if they beat the Yankees in a 3-game series because they still suck and they're never going to win and they'll be there tomorrow, right?
Well,
but
that
for Brentford,
and they've got the
they win this
Steelers.
game. They have this game forever. It is, were you there when we came up after 70 years and we beat Arsenal? That'll be in the annals of that team forever.
Yeah.
It's just a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So we gotta talk about other games. So let's talk about both our evil and hated.
Well, before we do that, let's talk about our friend Joe.
Joe. Oh boy, here we go. What do we got, Joe?
I'm talking about Joe. We both try to save a lot of money and try to make smart financial decisions. And one of the things that's made an inflection point and a difference in our lives is, Joe at Attitude of Gratitude Consulting. He's got a unique way of kind of finding money in the couch cushion, sort of, but it's a family-centric way of making sure you're doing the right thing by you and yours, essentially. Do yourselves a favor, go to attitudeofgratitudeconsulting.com for more information. What you'll see when you go there is a phenomenally laid out website, really easy to use. If you see it, you can make a phone appointment with the guy the next day. He's always happy to hear from you and jump on the phone with you, listen to how you got yourself into whatever financial predicament you're in, and more importantly, help you find a way out of it. So we are big fans of Joe, and I know he's a big fan of the show, which is always good to know. So
he wasn't with me to stop me from buying a useless electric bicycle, and I should have consulted him.
Man, you should have consulted him. But yeah, www.
It was on Craigslist. It wasn't my fault.
www.attitudeofgratitudeconsulting.com. It's got all the information you need. Go there. Tell them that Chop Sports sent you.
All right, Mike. Tell us. We can't go through all the games because we've been running the scores underneath, and not all of them carry a narrative. Tell me about the game that you want to talk about.
Let's see. I want to talk about United and Leeds because it's the only bet that I lost this weekend. I went 3 for 4, and I think that's going to be a segment on our preview episode. It's going to be Mike's. Yeah, we're gonna keep tabs on Mike's betting record over the course of the year. And I didn't publicize all of the picks, but I did say I would bet on Brentford, and I did.
I called Brentford. I was like, they're winning this game.
Yeah. But I got cheeky and I said, you know what? Leeds +1. Let's see. Let's see what happens at Old Trafford. And you know what? For about 60 seconds, I was feeling pretty good in the second half there.
What a goal
United really, really put them to the sword, though. Really and it was such a fun 10 minutes right after halftime because it was 1-0 going into half.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Luke Ayling with an absolute thunderbolt. To tie
all the goals were really good.
They were all really, really good goals.
Pogba was incredible. Fernandes scored an offside goal last year, but now that we have fat lines, he was onside.
I didn't understand it still, but I think I'm going to get it as we go on.
It doesn't matter. Give me the goals, okay? I don't care.
Sure.
He scored a hat trick. Those were his first open play goals since week 14. Let's just keep that in mind. So just to keep in mind what kind of player he is incredible, and he's their talisman. He scored good goals Greenwood scored a good goal, and they really just lit Leeds up like they did last time with the 6-2 at Old Trafford. And
Yeah,
Leeds are just a
very
bad
undistinct.
matchup. It's a bad matchup for Leeds because they play man to man, they run hard everywhere, and United are too good of a team to not be able to beat that type of thing. What United have the problem with, and they're not going to be proven, they're not going to be challenged until someone sits deep and makes you break them down.
Mhm.
That's what I was hoping for. That's what I was expecting. I think this season there's less and less teams like that. So United may win the league because no one
Right.
plays the way to beat them. I think Nuno will. I think Spurs will have their way with United because
Yeah,
you'll
I think
just
that
sit
makes
deep
sense.
and just be like, "Fuck you! I'm not pressing you. I'm not doing anything." So, but yeah, United were just a class above. They, like I said before, United probably have the most talented team in the league. They spent $1 billion on it. They should win,
So did
right?
you.
Yeah, we won the league
Yeah, but
twice.
nobody left, and now you've got Grealish.
No, but what I'm saying is United haven't won since 2013 and have no trophies spending the same amount
Right,
of
but the
money.
difference is that
We have a
now
coach who's awesome and Ole's a clown.
you sure, but what United have spent that money to get on par with you guys, right?
Maybe
So they're in that conversation. For me, there really is. There's 4 teams that could win the title this year,
they
and
all
then
could win, yeah.
it's
Sure.
it's the obvious ones. It's meant the United, Chelsea, and Liverpool. You were waiting for me to say Tottenham, were you?
No. But then if you rank it, it's City is never City. When City doesn't win the league, it's their failures and cost too much money. When they win, they're supposed to win. So we can't win no matter what we do. Chelsea have a good coach, are completely reloaded. Liverpool are still there. They're long in the tooth in my view. And then United are the upstart who will not win the league with Ole as the manager. Put
Yeah,
that
no, I
fucking
can.
book down.
I don't even have them in the top 4. So
Yeah,
how about
like
that, right?
if they had Benitez, they'd win the fucking league.
But
Like
you
just
said it
not
too.
Ole.
They are always up for the occasion. They're always ready for the big games. They'll kick the shit out of Leeds in the first game at Old Trafford with fans
They
in 2
may
years.
win they may win, like, let's say, against top 6, that's, I can't even do the math. 6 times 6, 36 points. They might get 26 points out of those, right?
Right.
They still won't win the league. Actually, if they get 26 out of those, they'll probably win the league. But they could win the top 6 table, let's say. Like,
Right,
how
right,
people
right,
look
right.
at
Yeah.
that. They're going to lose because they're going to lose to Brentford. They're
I
going
was
to
going to say,
lose
yeah.
because they're going to lose because Alan Saint-Maximin is going to fucking light them up, right? Or actually, Wan-Bissaka will be like, the fuck out of here with that shit.
Right.
but
They'll drop
Newcastle
points
will
at
sit
Norwich.
deep. Yeah, they'll lose to Norwich, like something dumb. But the thing is, those teams, there aren't enough teams that play that there aren't enough Burnley types anymore. So it may be breaking in their favor. Like all the teams that went down were kind of gross, right? And now we've got like more, like when Allardyce goes down, that's good, right? Because he plays that negative kind of dark all-time football. But there's much more attacking teams now, and we'll see if that actually helps United. And if they won the league, it wouldn't be a shock, right? Like, oh,
No, not at
wow.
all.
And then I'd have to be like, I guess Ole is a good manager. I believe it when I see it because he's going to choke.
That's going to be the next. No, that'll be it. That'll be the next shirt we have. It'll just be you being like, Ole in.
Yeah, Ole in? Question mark. And then the other game that I thought was really good, of course I want to talk Burnley Brighton, but I'm not going to. It's really not an important game. But the West Ham Newcastle game was fucking bonkers.
Yeah, it was wild.
What a fun game.
Yeah.
Right? They're good end to end. Maximin doing his like, yo, my G, what is woo, woo, woo.
Yep.
On the wing, outside the box. Step over, spin, step over, back and forth, up and down, and then just chips across. It felt like he did it a Rabona. It wasn't, but he would do it. And
he
then,
would.
And Wilson's on the end of it. I just don't like. Is there a player that's more fun? Even if you were on his team, you'd be like, you know what, dude, the fuck out of here with that. Will you just pass it without?
We sold the player who was as fun as him. It was Eric Lamela was the only one because he was the most unpredictable player in the league. But now that he's gone, I would say it's definitely Saint-Maximin.
Yeah. I mean, Eriksson is that type. I mean, sorry, Lamela is that type of player, and Grealish has that swag too, where he slows down. You're like, are we really slowing
Grealish?
Down? But
I'll tell you what,
apparently
Grealish looks like a shit Jamie Tart these days.
Yeah, Carlos Hale is supposed to be a winger who takes people on for fun and then brings them back after he goes past them. So maybe he's that. Maybe he's like anorexic Hazard is what you're getting.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've heard. So maybe when Hill comes in, you'll use him in games when someone
Brian
tries to
Hill.
sit deep. Brian Hill, yeah. Did
Yeah,
I say
yeah,
Carlos
yeah,
Hill?
yeah.
Carlos
Yeah, you
Hill's in
did.
MLS.
I was gonna say that threw me off. Yeah, Brian Hill. There's a lot to see with him so far. I mean, he's a baby still, but
he's all hair.
He
basically looks like a pencil with someone who put hair on the top. But
right.
yeah, the Newcastle game was fucking up and down. I would venture to say, and I'm not saying something crazy here, but is Mikel Antonio like the most underrated player in the Premier League? That dude runs, batters, tries to score, does whatever it takes for the team to win, and he's just like an afterthought. Like, wouldn't England be better with him up front sometimes? I don't know.
He would be what Giroud was to Chelsea and France.
Yeah.
That's the role he could play for England, right? Where he comes in on the 75th minute and is just like just showing up, elbows out, like just smashing people around who are already tired, and he's just running totally free. Like, I think he would definitely have a part to play in England.
By the way, are you ready for the St. Maximin stats? Back it up.
Yeah, go for it.
Attempted dribbles 8, successful 7. That is more than the next 3 players combined.
There you go. Okay.
Actually, he had more dribbles than all of Newcastle combined. Newcastle combined had 6.
No,
and
that
on
makes
West
sense to
Ham,
me.
they had, there was Jared Bowen and Benrahma. I'd like to call out my prediction. Benrahma having a big season. He's on the score sheet, and he assists in Mikel Antonio. So I sort of called it. I knew he was good. Again, Brentford scouting. And I'm excited about that. But this game was fun. Second half, fucking West Ham just puts the medal down, scores 4 unanswered goals, and
that was
just puts
crazy.
the game away.
Including a missed penalty.
Right, sorry, 3 unanswered goals with a missed penalty. Souček was just so anticipatory. He's literally running straight towards the goal on Antonio's run-up because he gave himself a little breathing room. Just a fun team. The league is just in such good hands right now. Like, it's just it just feels like there's not really any teams that we want to go down aside from Burnley and maybe Newcastle, where you're just like, I'm done with you guys.
And then the third team is gonna be like, pour one out for those guys, whether it's Norwich or Watford or something like that. But speaking
I don't think Newcastle will go down.
No, well, nonetheless, right? But like, the point is that we are going to be bummed to see a team go down. Whereas last year we felt bad for Fulham, but we're like, you guys don't really belong here, so it's fine. But I think
Sheffield was the one that was a drag because it's like
Sheffield too.
They deserve to have time with fans. They got no fans in the Premier League with no fans.
They did.
That's rough.
Well, no, they got like 6 months, right? Like 4 months.
Barely any time with fans.
That's
so yours tough. What was your other game you want to talk about? You want to talk about your boys?
There's one other one that I want to that was honestly probably the biggest surprising game result of the weekend was Watford 3, Aston Villa 2, right? Mm-hmm. The thing we talked about a lot was how well Aston Villa reloaded using the Jack Grealish money, bringing in Buendia, bringing in Bailey, bringing in Ings. Maybe by some defense, gentlemen. We just lost to Watford. Not that now Ismail Yassar was strong, had a good performance, and he's a very good player who
carried them last season.
He did, and in his initial Premier League, I guess, cameo in their last relegated season, he was sort of a ghost, and so. Granted, he's 2 years older.
The main guy,
right. But he's 2 years older now, and he's sort of the guy. And it's interesting to kind of see him kind of come of age. But I got to say, I did not watch a lot of this one. I obviously got the highlights, but that's one other thing. Just as a quick aside, that I give NBC a lot of shit, but the extended highlights is fantastic. It's 10 minutes long, and you're like, okay, I got everything that happened in this game. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean,
I mean, listen, they're
Watford
at
was a
home. It
surprise.
was a big game. I don't know. I mean, they didn't pass it particularly well. Defensively, you are correct that, Aston Villa needs sorry, Aston Villa needs to be better at preventing shots. And
Yeah.
I don't remember Nakamba in the midfield or McGinn kind of being great defensive players. So historically, Kanza and Mings have been really good. Kanza is more of the defender who doesn't touch anything and just kind of breaks
Hmm.
things up, and Mings being the left footer who kind of plays the ball. But I thought that, Aston Villa coming back into the game was good. They got a goal late. They got a penalty from Danny Ings. He gets off to Schneid and on the score sheet.
That was like the 95th minute though. That's you
Right.
almost can't count that. 97th
Right, but I
minute.
mean, they did grow into the game, and in the
Yes.
the last 15 minutes was all Aston Villa. Second half, they didn't really
Yeah, but
get
it was
much going.
3-0. By the time they
Yeah,
got their asses in gear, it was 3-0. So
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was the thing that surprised me.
They only had two shots, and Watford were already up two. So kind of
Yeah.
tricky. The Sar goal was deflected. Our guy Emi Martinez did not cover himself in glory, but I don't think he really had a chance to. Villa's season is not going to be judged on this, but it is a
No.
weird result when Tom Cleverley is bossing you. That's not
Yeah,
great.
that was the thing. It's just the way in which they lost. I mean, again, the 3 conceded isn't great, but um, to give up 13 shots with 37% possession, or to concede 37% possession and 13 shots is a little bit strange.
Yeah, that's
So
not good.
yeah, I'm worried a bit for Villa. I still
They
love
did
what
have
they've got.
they had a tough back half of the season. Now,
Hmm.
granted, they didn't have Grealish, so they do have to adjust. I mean, it is a lot. Like, I don't think people really realize how much offensive creation Grealish was doing. He
No, no.
missed
See, that's the thing.
15. He missed 15 games and led the league in shot creation. That's
I
insane.
think I think of course they're not going to be able to replace him overnight. I think they're going to be okay as far
Yeah.
as his productivity, especially because, like you said, he was injured in the back half of the season. So I'm not as concerned with that. But the thing that I did forget, and the thing that's easy to forget, is that you basically look at the sexy new things walking through the door, and you're like, oh, let's go talk about that. You sort of paper over the cracks that sort of existed already, right?
Mm.
All you did was try to replace Jack Grealish. You
Yeah.
didn't make the rest of the team any better. And so
Right. Right.
that's the
Right. Right.
thing
Right.
where
And
let's assume
it was
let's
30
assume
cents
that
for the
you did.
dollar, right? Yeah.
Right. But let's assume that you did. Let's assume that you made you took Grealish out and you put 2.5 players in his place, and you even improved the team, let's say for
Yeah.
argument's sake.
Yeah.
You still have a suspect midfield behind that. Like you said, the back line is okay. The fullback's questionable. And obviously, I mean, Martinez, would we be surprised if he took a step back from last year? He was
Yeah.
phenomenal
It's
last
luck.
season,
It's luck. Right?
right?
Otherwise, why would Arsenal have sold him? They must know something. They're not completely stupid
See, I don't buy
inept,
that.
are they?
No, I think they just gave Leno a shit ton of money, and they were like, "Well, but guess we're gonna sell this other Argentinian fella." But no, I think that there's a wobble there that I didn't expect to see early on,
Yeah.
and that could get bad. So I haven't
Um,
seen what their upcoming fixtures are, to be fair, but
Probably rough.
well, that's the thing is that if if you lose to a team like that, you probably no, that's okay. Well, yeah, okay. They've got Newcastle, Brentford, Chelsea, Everton, United, Spurs.
Yeah, but
That's, I
everyone's
mean,
schedules are pretty rough. There's a lot of good teams, man. It's just fucking every week. That's the Premier League. It is
that
crazy
is
every week.
the fact of
Yeah.
the so
So I mean, I want to give some sort of call outs. Chelsea really handled Palace well.
mhm,
Shalaba's goal was fucking amazing. Marcus Alonso on a free kick, and they cruise with a goal from Pulisic. That was really a Mason Mount goal. He started it. He won the
mhm,
tackle.
I
He
did see
did
that.
the give and go, and then sort of Pulisic scored on a rebound. So I'm not going to go with the American narrative. The American people were on my case because I was like, that was Mason Mount's goal. He got it because it was like, America. I'm like, you know what? Fuck Christian Pulisic. In their best 11 is not going to include him. The Martinez era started really well for Everton. They led the week in expected goals against Southampton. Southampton are in trouble. It's official. We are putting the fucking sign out that this team is in fucking trouble.
You know what the weirdest thing is that they were winning this game at halftime, and I went, "Oh, Everton's gonna win." I've never,
but my guy Adams, I called it, scored a goal, so that felt good.
Yep.
So he, of the 28 goals in the championship, he's a tiny little guy, a 5'7" striker. So he needs to get on the ball. He's not going to be winning headers. He's a tiny little, like a little craft and technician in this field. But if Ward-Prowse leaves, they're done.
Over.
They're really living on, like, Genipo and Theo Walcott are there for creativity on the wings, and they've got that 4-4-2, but it's not gonna look good.
And real quick, we talked about how sneaky good of a signing it was for Leicester. But what we didn't talk about was the hole that it left in the middle of Southampton's back line. Yannick Vestergaard not being there.
I think they're just being like, let's cash out for this season. Get the money for the players we've got. Go down, consolidate. It sounds to me like they're in a like very strategic. Hey, the pandemic murdered us. We're still in the Premier League. Let's sell our players. They're getting old, and let's reload, go down, and figure it out. Not that any team would do that on purpose, but maybe they're going, hey, Ralph, you got this? Because we're going to need you. So maybe they'll just fight it out. Maybe they'll just be like, they're doing a calculation, like, we're going to be better than 3 other teams, but I don't know who those 3 other teams are. That's the scary part, right?
Yeah. I think it's like fair to say that
they're looking at Norwich going, we're better than them. Right?
Yeah.
And they got to be looking at, because they're not, like, you look at the list here and it's like, you better fucking, like, Crystal Palace, I think is probably a danger team now that I think about it. Norwich, obviously. I don't worry about Leeds because they have a good manager.
Burnley.
I worry about Burnley, but Dyche finds a way.
He finds
a
way.
They're in like, you know, they've been in the
talked
Premier
about
League
this.
now. We talked about it, but it's now 6 years in a row. Like, they haven't gone down in a really long time. They've been in the Premier League since 2014-15.
You had them at 12. So the way I see it is there's 5 to 6 contenders, right?
But that was before Vestergaard. Now I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless I changed my mind. I was filling it out and they were the one that was left. I was like, 12. Because there's no difference. I wasn't like overthinking like where they were going to be. They were just there. I was like, oh, I didn't fill the 12th spot yet. It could be Leeds. It could be Everton. I don't know who the fuck it's going to be because, you know, how, like we talked about, from like 11 to 25, they're all the same. But I do trust in Hasenhüttl. But if they're gonna be cashing out and just be like, yeah, we're reloading, then I'm worried, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to happen in the next 15 days. Before the transfer window shuts, and it's not just Southampton. It's Spurs. It's City. There's a lot of teams. Arsenal needs to find a striker. Which, by the way, as a quick aside, Tammy Abraham reportedly already on his way to Roma. Why the fuck didn't Arsenal buy him? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Chelsea may not have sold it to him.
They wouldn't have given a shit.
They do. Well, they already sold Willian. They probably knew he was shit. Like, they're not going to let a good asset go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
Although I wouldn't go anywhere near fucking Mourinho if I was a player.
I know.
They got a lot for him though. That's the thing that's annoying. It's like 40 million.
Yeah. Oh no, their net spend is even. And they spent 100 million on one player.
That's that fucking loan army, man. They got all those dudes out there, and they showcase them, and they sell them for fucking good money. I don't know. I think that the woman's name is Marina, some Russian operator. Marina Brabishkova, Mitch. She's really good at running that team. I don't know who she is. I don't know what her plan is, but whatever Chelsea's system is, it is working. They don't spend money that they don't have. But they do spend on young players, and they win, and they win, and they win. And listen, again, I also respect the women's side. This is the thing that pisses me off when people kill our teams like PSG and the oil teams. They do a lot of good shit. Like, they're running it right. What do you want me to do? Like United basically fucking ditched their women's team, scumbags. They fucking broke
Really?
it apart. Yep.
Like
Their
for this
coach
season?
left. They gutted it.
Huh.
Isn't that gross? That's awful. It's like
That's kind of weird.
It costs nothing. It's the fucking laundry bill.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, clowns? Anyway,
Interesting.
United,
Very interesting.
scumbags. Anyway, we're petering out here. Well, we'll come back Thursday for the preview. It's going to be another great weekend. Next week, I believe the outstanding game, I had it in front of me, will be Chelsea Arsenal. That's a fucking winner go home for Arsenal. Like, it's full fucking crisis.
And then they've got City, I think, or they've got somebody else good
they
after
have City
that.
after that. They're in trouble. And Norwich are going to get an ass whooping by City.
And we've got
vengeance on our mind for the 5-2.
Nuno's homecoming on Sunday.
Oh,
Nuno goes back to Wolves. So
right.
That'll be interesting.
Mike, give me a second and then give me my cue.
All right, Laurent, let's get out of here.
Hey, there we go. That was the Speaking Bone Time podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show and be on the lookout for the live feeds of the show and the Nuno Knows shirt. And I forgot to mention World War II. I am listening to the Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, a 50-hour podcast. I'm very excited.
Wow.